In a quiet village nestled in the shadow of Emerald Hills, there lived a boy named Aryan. He had a curious mind and a kind heart, but he often struggled to understand the unspoken feelings of others. One afternoon, while exploring the woods near his home, Aryan heard a faint, sorrowful sound. He followed it to a clearing and discovered a small, injured bird beneath a towering oak tree. Its wing was twisted at an odd angle, and it trembled as if the world had forgotten it. Aryan crouched beside the bird, his brow furrowed. "Why are you crying?" he whispered, but the bird gave no reply. It only blinked its tiny, tearful eyes. Confused but determined, Aryan carefully scooped up the fragile creature and carried it home. When his grandmother saw the bird, she nodded knowingly. "This little one is hurt, Aryan. It can't tell you its pain, but it's crying out for help in the only way it knows how. Not all cries are loud. Sometimes they're silent, but they're just as real." Her words stayed with Aryan long after the bird was nestled in a small makeshift nest by the window. The next day at school, Aryan noticed something he hadn't before. Zoya, the brightest and bubbliest girl in class, sat alone at her desk. Her head was down, her shoulders hunched. She looked as though a storm cloud had settled over her. Aryan hesitated. Zoya wasn't saying anything. She wasn't crying or asking for help. But then he thought of the bird. Maybe her silence was its own kind of cry. He walked over and sat beside her. "Zoya?" he asked softly. "Are you okay?" Her eyes brimmed with tears as she shook her head. "I miss my dog," she said in a voice so quiet it was almost a whisper. "He was my best friend, and now he's gone." Aryan didn't have magic words to make her pain disappear, but he didn't leave her side. Instead, he told her about his own pet, a kitten who used to nap in his shoes. Slowly, Zoya's tears gave way to a small, grateful smile. From that day on, Aryan began to see the world differently. He noticed the stray cat hiding under the school steps, too scared to come out. He noticed the elderly shopkeeper who smiled at everyone, but never seemed to have anyone to talk to. He noticed how even the trees seemed to lean toward the sunlight, as if reaching for warmth. Each time he saw a silent cry, Aryan acted. He fed the cat, spent time with the shopkeeper, and helped his grandmother plant flowers for their neighbors. The bird, meanwhile, began to heal. Its wing grew stronger, and its eyes sparkled with life again. One morning, as the sun bathed the village in golden light, Aryan carried the bird outside. He opened his hands, and it took off into the sky, its wings slicing through the air with newfound strength. Aryan watched it soar until it disappeared beyond the hills. In that moment, he realized something profound. Empathy wasn't about fixing everything. It was about being there, about listening with your heart and letting others know they weren't alone. Aryan's quiet acts of kindness began to ripple through the village. His classmates started helping one another. The shopkeeper had more visitors. The stray cat found a home. And in the middle of it all was Aryan, a boy who had learned to hear the silent cries of the world and answer them with hope. And so, in that little village surrounded by emerald hills, Aryan became a quiet hero. Not with superpowers, but with the extraordinary gift of empathy.